Welcome back to Extravagant Fragrances, everybody. I'm back from traveling, and I just recently picked up some new imports. I was checking the comment section on the last video that I did, and I had some requests of people asking to do reviews on some imports. So just was it the day before yesterday, I actually stumbled upon some really nice French fragrances, and there was a couple of fragrances that I really thought a long time ago that this would really be nice if it was like that import quality. Okay, you know, most of the fragrances on my website are full strength. However, it's a different grade. Okay, I would say there's a difference between being full strength and a different grade. And these fragrances here that I'm about to go down the list, they're just on a whole different grade, whole different quality. I had talked to a perfumer in New York, and he was schooling me. And basically what he told me is, listen, he's like, you can have a fragrance, you know, if you want a fragrance made, he said, you know, you can achieve, you know, a very similar smell. He said, however, you know, it all depends on what ingredients are being used to make that fragrance. See, he says, so you could have, let's say, a fragrance, let's say, you know, you get a fragrance made and they both smell the same, but it's just the quality is just way different when it comes to, let's say, using higher end or higher quality ingredients, right? And I think that's what's going on with the French imported fragrances. I think there's, you know, I don't know, I can't approve it, but you know, like I actually let some of my family members smell these fragrances, and they're like, yeah, dude, it's on a whole different level. It just smells like way more pure. And so that's something I want to bring to the table. Depending on how this goes, I think I will probably bring in more of these. So yeah, I just when I get in front of fragrances, I'm just kind of like a kid in a candy store. I just can't, like, you know, I'll have my mind set on how much I want to spend, and I end up that's just how it is. That's like, you know, a true oil seller always ends up getting more than they bargain for, right? So anyways, the first fragrance I want to start with, and now I got to make my disclaimer because I know, I mean, there's a lot of people that don't know the differences. They don't seem to know the differences between a spray perfume from, you know, let's say the department store, and a fragrance oil. I'm an oil seller, okay? So that's what I sell. So these are all inspired by fragrances. They're not originals. Got to make that disclaimer for all of you out there. So the first fragrance, fragrance oil, inspired by fragrance oil, is going to be 1 million. That is number one on my list. Many years ago, when I'd smelled 1 million, I thought to myself, that smells really nice, and it would be nice if that could be made, you know, as a premium grade fragrance. You know, if it was to be, you know, an interpretation would come out where it's a, you know, like an import quality. And sure enough, I got a chance to smell the 1 million, and I was totally impressed. You know, I let a family member smell it today. They were like, wow. Like, at first, when you first smell it, it's just like, you know, it just hits your nose like right away. You can't really distinguish what it is at first, but when it kind of mellows down a little bit, then you're like, okay, wow, that's the 1 million. So that was the one fragrance that I was so pumped up about that one, because like I said, for the longest time I was hoping that could be brought out as a premium fragrance, and sure enough, I got my hands on that one. So for those of you out there who know the 1 million, that's in stock. And and I may have access to a few hundred more imports. So at really good pricing, by the way. So the next on my list is going to be inspired by Dolce Gabbana for Men. That was another one I had worn, you know, the Dolce Gabbana body oil for many years, you know, all the way, you know, from my teenage years, and this is another one. It's one of those fragrances that it's a very timeless scent. Everybody who knows this fragrance knows that it's a timeless fragrance, you know, and I'm just really happy that I was able to get this as a French fragrance, right? This interpretation is a French fragrance at this quality, very strong. I've never smelled, you know, a version of Dolce Gabbana like this at this kind of quality. Okay, it's just like wow. So I highly recommend this. All of these ones that I picked, mostly all of them, I would say most of them, except for a couple of them, which are new fragrances altogether on my website. But like the 1 million, for example, like you all already know that that's up on the website. The Dolce's on the website. Okay. The next in line is going to be inspired by Spice Bomb, and I remember one time I was traveling and that actually spilled in my car, and as an oil seller, when you have certain fragrances, you might be carrying like boxes of it, you know, transporting it or whatever, and so you don't really know like what spilled into, you know, into your trunk or your car, wherever, and well, this happened when I was traveling in the summertime, and I spilled the Spice Bomb in my car, and when I picked the bottle up, I realized what it was. It had just totally just permeated the entire car, and I was like, wow, that fragrance right there makes a really nice like air freshener, you know, and it was kind of accidental, but at the same time it was like, you know, that's something that I also wanted to see as an import version, and here it is. I have it. It's an import version. I'm contemplating on doing wholesale kits on these and adding new imports along the way. So let me know what you think on that. I may be doing that as wholesale kits in the you know, like the gold cap import bottles. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I've been really contemplating on that. So the next in line, it's already a hit as it is. These next two that I'm going to mention are already hits on the website, just as basic fragrances, right? And that is going to be the inspired by Bleu Deschanel for Men. This fragrance right here, I've had people, men and women, actually request this fragrance. I've had some viewers who said they actually sprayed it in their car. This is another one. It's it's just like, it's very high impact. We'll just put it that way. When you smell it from the bottle, you don't know what it is until it dries down. You know, once you get it on the skin and it dries down and mellows out, then you're like, okay, I know what this is now. This is another one. I highly recommend this one. If you already, for those of you who've already picked up or should I say the least expensive version of the domestic stuff that I have, that's in now, okay? The next in line is going to be inspired by Polo Black. This is another French import. You already know. I have two versions on the website, which is the Polo Black and Polo Double Black. The Double Black moves out, but not as much as I've seen Polo Black move out. And I personally, to be honest with you, I actually like the Double Black better. Not that the Polo Black is not as good, but it's a bigger mover. It's a faster mover than the Double Black from from what I've seen on the website. However, the Polo Black has a tendency to, when you first smell it, you got to give it a second chance. It's just like one of those second chance type of fragrances. You got to keep revisiting it because you get something different every time you revisit it. I don't know if you all have experienced you know, such a thing like that. Is, you know, you smell a fragrance, maybe you kind of like write it off the first time, and then like later on someone brings it back to you, or you smell it somewhere else and you're like, oh wow. You know, you kind of develop a new appreciation for it, and that's kind of how the Polo Black is. Yeah, this one is, I mean, it's a big hitter already as a domestic, but now that I have the French version, I'm sure you all will appreciate that one. I highly recommend this one. The next in line is going to be the Inspired by Kouros Silver, or the YSL. This was one of those fragrances that was just instant. As soon as I smelled this fragrance, I was like, give it to me. I want it right now. It was a very high impulse type of fragrance. Okay, high impact. For those of you who have picked up the Inspired version of Dior Sauvage, if you're into that kind, me personally, when I first smelled Dior Sauvage, I thought to myself, this fragrance needs to be an import. And sure enough, I was able to get a hold of something that smells similar, which is the Kouros Silver. And I'm running out of time here, so if I get cut off, I'm gonna have to do a second part on this video, because I've got like 2 fragrances left. So let's see here. All right, Inspired by